So these jokers changed the song list or the set list at the last minute. What we do about that? I'm saying it how y'all want to say it. But in this video, if you've ever experienced that where you've been given a set list, maybe for a gig that you're doing, maybe something you're sitting in for, maybe it's your church, you know what I'm saying, and they gave you a set of songs, but you get there and they changed the set list for whatever reason. Hey, I'm feeling this tonight, and what do we do in those situations? So let's jump right into this video today. So in my last video on this will definitely get you fired. I asked for some dialogue, and I'm doing the same in this video. I asked for some dialogue for people to join me in the comments to give me some thoughts about different things. One of the things that we addressed, I can't remember what the actual point was that we were talking about. I think it was about being prepared or something in that regard. And somebody left a comment, and I in the last part of their comment, they said something to the nature of basically the song list changes and everybody knows the songs but you. What do you do? What do you do in that situation where the song list changes? So I, like last time, I put the question out there on Facebook asking, musicians and stuff, what have you done in that situation where you've prepared, possibly you've been told maybe about the songs that you're supposed to be doing, and then the last minute, or you get to the gig, the event, or whatever, or on the spot, the song changes. What do you do? How do you prepare for that situation? And I've gotten some interesting responses back about that. People have been chiming in on Instagram. And people have been giving some different points. So I wanna cover this today, and I'll read some of these points as well. But I want to cover this in three areas today. And so the first area is flow or environment. So you guys know, if you've been around for a while, I'm Jermaine Morgan, by the way, if you don't know that. But if you've been around for a while, I kind of deal more in the church side of things. However, I do have time that I've spent, playing in, other gigs like secular or what you call it, jazz, more so jazz and smooth jazz, that kind of thing. All right. So anyway, so I got a pretty broad perspective being a professional musician based here in Atlanta for many, many years. So I think I kind of got a broad perspective of the thing. So like I said, the first one I want to deal with is flow or environment. So coming from flow, I'm talking to obviously church. And here's what I mean by that. You come in, they done gave y'all a set list on, early part of the week. We're going to do these songs. This is what we're going to do. We're going to open it up with this, blah, 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 boom, 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 and we're done, right? So you get in there, and for some reason, the praise team leader, the music director, whoever, is like, yo, I'm feeling we need to do this. And you're like, bruh, I didn't practice that, or I don't know this, or whatever the case may be. What do we do in those situations? So a few responses that I got back. Let me read a couple of them. I'm not going to say names, but a few responses is like, stick to the song list this was given, unless we agree that we know, and stick to the arrangement. All right. And so one person, this guy that I personally know, he says, this happened to me all the time back at the church that I used to play at in the 90s. He said, you just got to be ready. So those are two completely different perspectives. And so from the flow perspective, I'm going to stick with my second guy in terms of this. From a flow perspective, it's like, it sucks. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. It sucks when that happens, because like, how do I get ready for something that I didn't know that was coming up? That's the biggest argument, right? If I'm spending this time at home, learning these songs, working through this, how do I be ready for something? I know it's bad grammar, but how am I ready for something that I didn't even know that was going to happen? How come I couldn't get a heads up? Well, in a flow situation, sometimes it's just they're going with the moment. They're going with what feels right for the moment in terms of somebody that's trying to flow with what's happening there. This might be a song that pops out that's not necessarily on the set list for today, but it's a song that maybe that church, that ministry has done in the past. Maybe you're new. I often ran into this when I first got to New Birth, and I played there years ago. So they had such a big vocabulary of songs. It's like a big pool of songs. I'll say it that way. And depending on the moment, it's like I'm already struggling to keep up with them 5, 6 they done sent me through the week that I'm trying to play that I've never heard before. And I'm trying to play them and make sure I'm on it. And then they pull out, hey, you know this such and such. I know the one. This is the one that they used to pull out for us. Celebrate by Ted and Sherry. Now this, I think this gonna set the this gonna set the this gonna set it all up. If you've never heard that song, go listen to Celebrate by Ted and Sherry. That song ain't no song that you just, okay, I don't know that, but y'all can talk me through it. Cause that's something, one of the comments like, well, if you got a pretty good MD and an MD can talk you through that song, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it fit the moment when they first pulled that song out. And I'm going somewhere with this, so y'all just kind of hang with me. They first pulled that song out. It's like, that song's like, hey, Jay, you know this song? You ever heard this song by Ted and Sherry? No, I don't know it. You just play. We got you. We talk you through it. Man, that song had all kind of licks and all kind of runs, and it's like the song is, I don't even remember how to play it all the way, but it's a fun song once you learn how to play it. But when you don't know how to play it, oh my goodness, you in front of 10, 15,000 people, and we're counting the song off. You don't know it, we're gonna go ahead with it anyway because it fits the moment. Well, in that case, what do you do, Jermaine? Well, what I had to do that day is, fortunately, my MD, Dario Edgecombe, phenomenal bass player. I took the L. Really, it wasn't the L on me because I just didn't know the song. I didn't know what I didn't know. I gave him my bass and I let him play my bass, and he killed it. I mean, he killed the song. In that moment, what I had to do, and I know that's not everybody's situation. Some people don't have a dope music director that's also dope on bass that can come step in and play the song. I handed my bass over to him and let him play it. Now I was embarrassed because he killed my bass and I didn't know the song. So I'm looking there like, what we got you for? And he could, all of that. So go figure. But anyway, he killed the song. But what I took from that, all right, this is a song that's a hot song here at this church that they do. I need to go learn that ASAP. And so I often found myself in those moments in that ministry where they would be pulling it. Now it sucked that, I don't get a heads up, but the whole band knew the song and I didn't know the song. So it's like, what you gonna do? Sit there and fight with everybody and complain? Or you gonna just, like, there's been cases. Another case that I had, and we're gonna get to this on my second point, so I'm not gonna get too far into that one. But where you may have had the opportunity to know the song and you didn't do the due diligence. But on the case where you didn't know, maybe the keyboard player, somebody can step in and play key bass if you just flat foot don't know. Other than that, you got to be somebody that can pick up very quickly in those situations where it's a flow. I'm being very specific. Where it's a flow thing where you can pick up very, very quickly because this might be the best song for the moment. Even though you don't fully know it, this might lyrically and for the feel, this might be the best song for the moment. So it's like, you just got to do the best you can in that moment to survive. If you can't pass your bass off to somebody who knows the song, you just got to do the best you can. And I know it sucks. It's not the best information that we want to hear, but in that moment, these are spontaneous moments that happen. And you may have to either depend solely on the band or the music director to feed you the songs and just keep up best you can. And hopefully it ain't a song like Celebrate where it's all over the place and, it don't calm down. I'm telling you, if you ever listen to that song, it don't calm down. Ain't no point of the song where it levels out like, okay, I got it. Nah, that song just keeps going. There's more and more stuff to the song. It's a high energy song and you just got to know it. So in that regard, I went back and learned the song. So what I did to prepare to kind of lessen those moments, if you will, I asked the music director and I asked the minister of music for, like, man, can you give me like y'all songs, like some of y'all go-to songs, as many as you can think of. Can you give me your go-to songs? And what I did, I think the minister of music was able to give me, like, they didn't give me all the songs. It's too far back to go, but they gave me as many songs as they could. And what I started doing, like my early time there, I just started going through and started learning their main songs that they would probably be likely to pull out in moments. And some of them songs they can't even prepare you for because it might be something that the pastor or somebody, all of a sudden he wants to hear this song and like they count it off. You don't know it. do the best you can to get through it in a flow situation. But other than that, ask them for a song list, a set list, or something that to do. So when I said the other part of that was environment. You might be in an environment where, okay, they want to do something, or it's like, let's say with you in a different type of band, it's not necessarily a church setting, but they're doing cover songs and somebody calls out a song and they want to hear that song. Now you got the option of the band now saying, hey, we don't know this. And if we do this, we're going to go down in flames because I don't know it. And I understand I play a very vital role in this song. They might have to just tell the audience, hey, we can't do that song tonight. I don't out the bass player, but like we don't all know this. Say we, don't say the bass player. Like, look out for me. So in that regard, try to see if you can work with the band leader or whoever and let them know, yo, I don't know this and I'd rather not fall flat on my face in this moment. You could do the same thing with church and be like, yo, I'm going to sit this one out. I don't know it. If you have that option, hopefully it might be a situation where they can work out something and the keyboard player play the bass, or, you know, they don't do the song at all. That it's a slippery slope with that one. All right. So the second point I want to get to, because this video can get real long. And as we're talking, y'all drop some of y'all's experiences in the comments, because we've all had them. We've all been there. Some of this stuff is just, it is what it is. It's hard to prepare for. It's hard to predict. It just is what it is. So the second one I got is the lack of readiness, or the lack of song retention. So sometimes, let's go back to church. Sometimes they may pull out a song that you do know or y'all have played before since you've been there, but it's been such a while since y'all done the song, you don't remember the song. And maybe everybody else remembers the song enough to get through it. Well, in those situations, it's important that you don't just throw that music away once y'all do it that one time. You got to stay on top of it. That don't mean you go over those songs every week, but as much as you can, get into the habit in your practice time of going back over those songs that y'all have played, as many as you can remember, just to stay on top of them, especially if that song went over really, really well, whether it be a ballad, an up-tempo song, that kind of thing. Just make sure you stay on top of it. Somebody else left a comment on Facebook, say that they just started charting out or making a list of the songs that they done, and they just kept them a book or a list of all of the songs, and they would periodically, like I'm saying, they would go through the songs, work through them, and make sure that they knew the song, so when the songs come back up, you know, they can actually retain it. They can actually remember the song. So that way you've lived with that song over enough time that when you play it now, now it's fun. That's the point I'm trying to get to. When you've spent time and you've learned these songs, like the Celebrate song, after I learned it, oh, we went up. Like, now we in there. Now when I finally learned the song and I could play it and I was confident with it, it was fun to play. But that first time, it was terrifying because I didn't know it. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is like, of course, the lack of readiness. In that particular regard, I had this issue, or this, I ain't gonna say an issue. I had this gig to come up. I was playing this smooth jazz gig with a saxophone artist. And I won't mention his name, but I will mention the drummer's name, my boy Brian Andrews. So anyway, I did this. Well, I guess I could mention the saxophone artist's name, Jeff Sparks. I was doing this smooth jazz gig with him. I played a lot of gigs with him, traveling with him. And so we did this gig at the Georgia Aquarium. This was like my second gig with Jeff. And the first gig I did with him, Jeff sent out a lot of music. And he sent out his original music and potential covers that he might do. On the first gig, I spent all those hours learning all that music. This is another part of what we're talking about, so be sure to drop in the comments if you've been through this. I spent all those hours learning that music, only to get to the gig, and Jeff did his covers that whole night. I'm saying, like, bro, I learned all this stuff for nothing. Immature musician. And this is why I say that. Well, I learned how to get through those covers for that particular night, but I didn't learn them. So I had another gig come up maybe a few weeks later, the same artist with Jeff. So Jeff says, same thing. This is my original tunes that I'm probably going to do. Here's a list of the covers. Immature musician, immature professional. So I'm looking at the covers. I glanced at them. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool, yeah, yeah. I listened to them. I'm like, oh, all right, cool, yeah, yeah. I can kind of get through there. I think I can, cause I wasn't gonna put all of my energy into the covers this time. I'm gonna focus on learning his original music. I was solid on his original music, super solid. I'm like, I know, okay, I messed up on that part last time. I'm good. Okay, I need to remember. I was solid on the original stuff. My man gets to the Georgia Aquarium, and we do straight covers all night long. And I did not know but one. I went down in flames. The reason I mentioned Brian Andrews, and if he's watching this, get in the comments, Brian. Brian laughed at me all night. And when I tell y'all I took an L, that was one of the most embarrassing professional gigs I've ever played because and my guy Smitty was on. I can't think of Smitty's last name here in Atlanta. Smitty was on keys. Smitty had to play key bass for most of them songs. I was going down the flame. Smitty was like, I'm getting y'all this transparent. It ain't all like you just killing every gig. Like, nah, I want y'all to know that even as a professional, it happens. Smitty had to take key bass over for 90% of the songs of the covers. Like he did, like maybe he did one of his originals, but it was covers the whole night. So I went down in flames. The only time I kind of recovered is when they gave me solos. Other than that, it was Flame City, and I was embarrassed. Like I was packing my stuff up in the car. My head was down the whole night. I felt like trash, but I learned something from that. Going back, lack of readiness. You have to be prepared. Don't assume in these moments that you're going to be solid just because of what happened the last time. If they give you the opportunity to learn all the music, if you're taking the gig, they're paying you to be prepared to play that gig. It don't matter if they don't do all the songs. I mean, at the end of the day, you lost your time learning the songs that they didn't do, but at the end of the day, they hired you to be the bass player or the musician for that gig. So that's your job to know and to be able to cover. If they've given you, time and they've given you the opportunity to learn the songs, it's up to them as the artist what they decide to do. I had another artist I got called in for this gig because the bass player that initially was supposed to have been doing it backed out. There was about 20 songs that I had to learn, and I had about 2 days to learn these songs. The first day, the rehearsal was like the next day. I got the call like at the end of the day. Rehearsal was the next day. Then the gig was like 2 days later. And so I had to learn all these songs, like 20 songs. Get to the gig. I'm trying to fast forward through the story. Get to the gig. The artist only does 10 of the songs. You would think like, nah, man, I learned all 20 of these songs. Run all 20. Run all 20, right? But there was a fun gig nonetheless. But my point is, you have to show up prepared regardless if you're going to do this job as a professional musician. There are instances where they might pull out songs or the set list may change and you don't have the opportunity to know it. But if you have the opportunity and you know there was something that we've done before or something that they could potentially pull out, don't be lazy. Go ahead and do the extra work. All right. The third one, I think most people going to like this one, and we're going to be out of this video. I don't want it to be too long. The third and final point that I want to lean into, straight up inconsideration. It is what it is. Straight up inconsideration is like the band leader or the singer or whoever wants to hear the song just for selfish reasons. It ain't no flow. It ain't no this. They just want to do that song, and that's the one they want to do. And so they're putting you on the spot to look bad because it's a song that they just want to do, even though you guys haven't prepared for it. In those instances, the best I can tell you, you got to handle it with grace. You got to handle it like a professional. Get through it as best you can or choose to sit out. I mean, I don't know. If the smaller your band is, the worse it's going to probably look. But if you don't know the song, goes back to the point number one, you're going to have to lean on the MD. Somebody's going to have to feed the song to you. And it's at that point, I would say what you can do to work on all three of these things that I've talked about. What's a practical thing that we can do realistically, Jermaine? All right. So a practical thing we could do is when we're in our practice time, learn a lot of music for the genre that you play. if you're in the church world, if you're in the gospel world, ask questions, ask people questions. I found this valuable, like partners of mine that played in different types of ministries and stuff. Hey man, you need to go back and learn this. You need to learn some Thomas Whitfield. You need to learn it because there's an era of music, depending on how old you are, that you're not as familiar with. And so as much of that stuff as you can get familiar with, it's only going to make you a better player. You might say, well, I don't have time. It's only going to make you a better player if you're able to go back and learn. Like, we didn't grow up listening to like James Hall, all the choir stuff. I didn't grow up on all that choir stuff. I grew up quartet. So I later got into choir music, but as I got around people that I respected and they started like naming names, you need to learn this song, you need to learn this, learn that. Over time, I started learning that music and it made me a better player. Not because I had to play it on Sunday, just simply for learning purposes. I started like digging into this music and getting familiar with the music, that kind of thing. Even if you don't have the time to sit down and just learn random songs, start listening to more music in the genre. If you're in a top 40 band and y'all gonna be pulling out covers all the time, you got to listen to more music. You have to listen to more stuff. Now, because y'all know what side I lean on with all of this, you better be careful what you're letting into your ear gate. I didn't get on here for this, but I got to tell you the truth. You got to be careful what you're letting into your ear gate because it will affect you. It will affect you spiritually if you're opening yourself up to. And so this goes back to being careful with certain gigs you accept depending on your own convictions. I'm a believer in Christ Jesus, and I make no apologies about it. So certain gigs for me, I started cutting off later on in my career. I don't condemn anybody for whatever gig you play. That's you and God. I mean, the scriptures says, let every man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. So that's on you and God. I ain't here to judge you on that. But for me and my own personal convictions, I saw that certain gigs I couldn't in good conscience continue to do for me. And so I started cutting off certain things and pulling back from doing certain gigs, certain types of material that conflicted with my spirit. I couldn't do it. So I started cutting back. So that might get rid of some of your problem if you just go ahead and cut back on some of the stuff that in your spirit you've been convicted like you shouldn't be playing it anyway. That's one thing that you could do as well. So as you're listening to these things, listen to these songs, make sure that you're being mindful of the stuff that you're letting into your heart, because it does affect your spirit man. Believe it or not, what goes in you is going to come out of you, right? So you got to be mindful, very, very mindful of those different things. So anyway, this is something I wanted to address, and hopefully I kind of touched on some points that you guys can do. I don't want to drag this video out. I do, however, because I know there's some pros out here watching this video. If you have some stories, if you have some tips, drop them in the comment. I'm liking these videos where we can kind of have dialogue, talk through some of these things that we're dealing with, that we just kind of deal with and keep moving, or you might complain to a band member, that type of thing. Let's come up with some solutions for these things. What can we do? Because none of it's going to be a perfect scenario, but there are things that we can do that we can show up sometimes better prepared for, or we can have the right attitude. And I didn't mention this, but if you happen to find yourself in one of those situations where they didn't change the song list or something like that at the last minute, try not to have a bad attitude, because that can affect your higher ability. Being flexible, being able to handle stress or whatever, that shows a leadership quality that people pay attention to. You might not see it right away, but people are paying attention to that leadership quality of you having a good attitude, handling stuff like that the right way. So when something else is coming down the pipe, people are looking at how you carry yourself, your attitude, all that type of stuff. And it might not be where you currently are. It might not be the ministry that you're at. Somebody somewhere else. More importantly, God sees what you're doing. He sees the type of service that you're offering him. So we ain't looking for promotion to come from the east or the west. It's coming from God alone. So if nobody else but God sees what you're doing, make sure you're doing it to the glory of him. Colossians 3:23, everything that you're doing, make sure you're doing it unto God and not unto man. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. I just wanted to have this dialogue. Somebody commented and I wanted to respond with a video I thought this would be a good topic to talk about instead of trying to type a response in the comment section. So thank y'all for chiming in on that last video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it at the end here. But go back and watch that, because that's something that ties directly into this conversation. Leave your thoughts below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, be sure to do that. Turn on my bell notifications so you don't miss any of this content, these conversations, because we're trying to get better. As we unlock our sound, we also want to keep the gig, right? And keep working. So anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I will see y'all on the next video. I'm out of here. Peace.